and welcome to Technique Tuesday. My name is Sharon Rogers and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wells, Maine. And on the second Tuesday of each month, I like to bring you a techniques class. Today's techniques focus on how you can apply linen thread and ribbon to your projects. Let's get started. Okay, when it comes to linen thread, a lot of times we simply just tie it in a bow like we're tying our shoes, just the ends. Now, I don't know if you caught what I just did. Let me try it again. I made a loop and then I wrapped around and brought it through and then I pulled. Now my ends are not the same length. This right one is a little bit larger. So if I were to just kind of pull, sometimes it twists. So what I like to do is hold on to the knot when I pull, and then that keeps it from twisting and it keeps it right in line the way it should be. Now that's a single one, but you can also double your linen thread. You could even triple and quadruple, but let's just try a double bow. And same thing, I'm going to pull it together, and if I want to adjust it, this is the end that I need to cut. These are the two loose ends, but I just hold this and they're about the same size, and I would snip these ends. Notice I'm keeping it on the spool. That helps me minimize the waste. But this has two free ends, this one does not. So that's why I'd want to cut this one. So those are simple bows. But how can you also give the illusion of a bow on a card without doing that? Well, let me show you. Before we get to how to deal with the linen thread, let's first make a very quick and easy card. So I'm going to bring in this beautiful designer series paper. You've seen me use it before. It is Floral Charm. And here's a technique for you. This is a line art design, which means there's line and it's been colored in, but you could also color it in. You could add a little bit more color to some of these flowers, or you can do what I'm going to do and add some Wink of Stella. And so that's just going to make my roses in here sparkle. So I'm just kind of painting like I would if this were a marker or a paintbrush. I don't want to lose my spots here, so let's go ahead and paint all these roses top to bottom, shall we? And it's going to give even these flowers. I know they're not roses, but we'll do those too. So any flowers on here, we're not going to do the leaves, we're just going to do the flowers. And every now and then I'm going to give my my brush just a little squeeze to make sure I get some more sparkle down there. And I can see it's still flowing. May be hard for you to see on camera, but there is definite sparkle and shine on there, and it's really, really pretty. I think it adds quite a bit. And you don't have to be super detailed or particular when you're coloring here. It's going to look great even if you go out of bounds a little bit. Some more flowers. So that was really quick and simple, but it really does just add some nice little shine and sparkle here. It really glams it up quite a bit. So that's all I'm really going to do on this card. We will adhere it to the base. And then we're going to put a nice simple sentiment on. I have chosen soft sea foam as my sentiment strip layer. I'll bring in some Mossy Meadow ink Let's just stamp this right here. This piece is, oh goodness, I think it's, that's a little crooked. Hold on, let me do it again. This piece is 3/4 of an inch wide. There we go. Now when I put this on here, I'm going to snip this off just so it's going to be right up to the edge right here. I don't need it this long over here as well, but let's angle it. So we just have a little bit of something going on over there. I'm going to put that up on dimensionals because that will raise it off the page and make it a little bit just more special, I think. Now, if any of you were listening in on, I think it was Friday Night Live, I mentioned that I had this desk holder. It holds my adhesives, and I needed to replace it because it's falling apart. I mean, I could add some more adhesive here, but this is so old, and I made this, but I think what I want to do is replace it. Okay, I fixed it, but I want to replace it with the new kit that's going to be highlighted for World Card Making Day, because that is going to have a desk organizer in it, and I think that would make a splendid substitute. All right, I'm going to put some of these edge dimensionals on here. I'm going to put another one on because I'm going to use it to hold down my linen thread. But some of you have already seen this a couple times, and I know some of you, because I've heard at least from one of you, that you don't really like this, and that's okay. Not everything is for everybody. Let me get that knot out of there. You've seen where they have tied a very large bow. All right, very large bow. And they've kind of snuck it behind here, and you've got that. Well, you can see mine is twisting. The longer it is, I think the harder it is to get a bow that doesn't twist. So here's what we're going to do. If you take this and you kind of loop it on itself a couple times. I probably want an odd number. I'll have to trim this at the end. So I've got it going from down, it goes down, up, down. Oops, let me pull that up. Okay, so we've got an odd number, so our ends go in two different directions. Now this is getting a little bit hard to control, and I want to keep it down in just one spot. I'm going to twist that, and I'm going to hold that down with with my middle dimensional backing here. And you could have put that on first, or you can just kind of put it on together. But by twisting that, you get the look of a bow, but without so much fuss. And it might be a little bit hard for you to see on that, but it's just adding a little bit of something in there. If you don't want your bow lengths so long, you can shrink them a little bit. This one's not, I don't think this one's attached. So well, it looks like it kind of is, or was. Okay. So there we go. And you can just trim it that way. But that's an easy kind of fake bow. You don't even have to tie the bow. It's really just looped around there. And that's a quick and easy card using that method. Now we come to ribbon. And ribbon comes in a bunch of different sizes and styles. So there's this really sheer, balmy blue ribbon. It's called balmy blue sheer ribbon. It's very, very thin, kind of a little slippery. It's 1/2 inch wide, I believe. Let's see. Yes, it's 1/2 inch wide, but a lot of our ribbon is 3/8 of an inch, which is really a very nice width. Occasionally you'll find ones that are 1/4 of an inch, but not too often. This one is 1/2 an inch, I believe. Yes, this is 1/2 an inch as well. This is Misty Moonlight silver edged ribbon. It's really, really pretty. It's part of the a suite, the Peace on Earth suite. Really pretty. I know Peace on Earth isn't quite the right name, but I'll figure it out. So when it comes to tying a bow, same thing we did with the linen thread. If you can keep it on the spool, you'll minimize your waste. So you just loop it and pinch it, go around and tuck through. Now you have to play with it a little bit, and you play gently. That way you keep it fairly nice. Now, sometimes one goes up a little bit, one's down. I think this is a pretty nice little bow. It's a little bit hard to keep it perfectly so both ends are exactly the same. But this is one method of doing it. And then you can just cut it off and stick it onto your project. The other thing that you can do is you can actually make a free bow. So sometimes when you buy things on Amazon, they'll come with bows already pre-made, and this is how you can make them. You'll just need a particular tool. And what do we need? Ta-da! A fork. So this is what we do to start. We're going to take a little ribbon, and the ribbon I'm using is just a scrap piece of ribbon that I've had for a while. It's maybe 1/4 of an inch wide. So let me show you. I'll show you it on this, and then I'll show you another tool that we can use. So you're going to bring it around your fork so that one end is in the back and one end is coming around the front. You're going to take the end of the ribbon that's laying behind the fork, and you're going to bring it over in front and thread it through that middle tine. All right, so easy enough so far, right? So we've got everything laying all nice and flat. Now, this part that was in the front, you're going to take and put up over between those same two tines, just on top instead of underneath. All right, so now we've got this going on. Now you're going to flip over your fork, and you are going to tie a knot. So you're just going to tie this in the back. You don't have to worry about it being pretty. Slip it off, and you have just a cute little bow. And our ends are about the same. I just need to push that a little bit. And we've got this is just a tiny, tiny little bow. So tiny. Okay, now what you can also do is if you play with the ends when it's on the fork, it's a little bit easier. Need a larger bow? Anybody know what this is? Yes, it is a hair pick. So you can use this. You could also, if this is your normal dinner fork, you could use a serving fork, and that's going to be larger and wider. You just need to make sure that whatever you're using has an even number of tines, because that will mean that there are an odd number of spaces, and that way you can find the middle one. All right, let's take a piece of this here. All right. I'm going to take the one that is in the back, and let's see. I want my ends to be, I would say you're probably going to need 10 to 12 inches for ribbon here. I'm going to keep it on the spool, but you don't really need to. I'm going to take the one that's in the back, bring it around to the front and through that middle tine. Right? So that's what I have. Then I'm going to take this top one, this one that was in front, and I'm going to go over and through that middle tine. And you can already see the bow taking shape right here, right there. You can see it's really pretty, really cute. Turn it over, And you're going to tie those ends. You're just going to loop them. It's just really a half knot. Pull, and you can kind of shape your tails how you want them to go. So if I want my tails to go down, I'm just pulling down while it's easier, while it's on the hair pick, because it's a little bit easier to get it trained. Take it off, and there's your little bow. Cute. Then you just, well, use sharper scissors than I'm using. I need to sharpen my snips. And there we have a nice little bow. There is one other way we should probably talk about tying bows, and that is the bunny ear method. Now, I never learned to tie my shoes this way, but I know a lot of people did. So you just make 2 loops that are about the same size. So you can see you've got the one little bunny ear, another little bunny ear. You cross them, you tuck one through the middle. And you pull. And there's our bow. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller because it's pretty big right now. I find that it's easier to tie the bow when you have big bunny ears. And then you just adjust it. I will say that that's the nice thing about this method, is you can adjust the bow a lot easier. Once this little bow is tied, it is tied. You can't really adjust it. So this is a better method if you want to play with the size of your bow after the fact. I can make a pretty good bow without a fork. But I have also had a gazillion years of practice. I've been a demonstrator for almost 25 years, and I can say that I have tied my fair share of bows. Now, notice I was just trimming my ends. Sometimes they do like to fray. Let me get a quick tool and show you how to stop that. Now, I don't smoke, so I don't have a lighter, but I do have a grill lighter. Same thing. So you'll just get the flame going and quickly just burn the end. Like, you can't even tell, but what it's done is it's melted the very fine fibers at the end, and now it's not going to fray. Whereas if I do that on this side, you can see it starts to fray. So we just trim it off. Just be careful you don't burn yourself. And quick little fire. That's it. And now your ends will not fray. Now, you can use a freestanding bow. I wouldn't use it on this card because of the colors, but you could use a freestanding bow. But what happens if you want to put a bow on a card? Well, let's take a look at that. Here we have a beautiful piece of scenery, and this is from the beautiful Gallery 6x6 Designer Series paper. There's all sorts of beautiful designs in here. Oh, this one's lovely too. This one's a little bit more fallish to me. I mean, they're both kind of late summer, early fall. I'm going to use this one instead. It's even prettier to me. And again, this is just going to be a very simple card because this technique is not about the card itself. It's about the ribbon. I'm going to cut this at 4 inches by, let's see, how much sky do I want? I'll cut off the sky. 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay. And then I want to just add a greeting to this and a ribbon, because the ribbon's going to dress it up. So I could just do this, kind of play with my ribbon. This is the beautiful basic beige classic ribbon, and it is so soft and supple. I love it. Now, when it's on the spool, it's a little bit more difficult to tie a bow because you have to, you only have one end that's free. And so that difficulty sometimes means you either give up and you just work with what you have, or you get one where the ends aren't going right. So I'm sure that's happened to a lot of you. So that's where this bow tying trick comes in very handy. All right, I can actually do it off the ribbon, off the spool here. Okay, I'm going to even up my ends. One is in the front, one is in the back. I'm going to take the back one and bring it around to the front and over the other and through the bottom of that middle tine. And then I'm going to take this top one and bring it over through that middle tine. And then just tie a knot. Now, when I'm tying this knot, I'm going to try my very best to not let my fingers get in the way. And I'm just pulling it nice and tight. I am going to train my ends to come down because that's often the biggest battle I find with my bows. And you've got this pretty little cinched center here. And look at that pretty little bow. And we can put that somewhere on the card. We do need a sentiment layer. So let's bring that in and just show you how you can very quickly finish up this card. All right, I have a scrap piece of pecan pie two-tone cardstock. So this is the regular pecan pie color. When you flip it over, this is the lighter side, which complements that very nicely. And what we're going to do here is we could just put this on here just like that. Or what we can do, and I haven't trimmed the ends yet, we can make it look like this ribbon wraps all the way around. And then we just add the sentiment. And how do we do that? Well, we take another piece and we just cut it so that it's a little bit longer than our width. And then you wrap it around the card. I think I want it about there. And then you just tape those ends there. You can use just regular tape if you want. I have some around here somewhere, I think. But of course I can't find it right now. So you know what? Let's just use a glue dot. That'll work too. Just need something to hold it in place. So if I tack that down and figure out where the other one roughly goes. There we go. So we've got something that looks like that. And then when we just put this right on the top, it looks like it's already there. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, well, this needs to be a little bit thinner. Sure does, if you want it to make it look very realistic. But really, people are not going to pay that much attention to it. You can just add this one with another glue dot. Go ahead, put this right on the back. Glue dot. And there we have a beautiful ribbon. We can trim the ends. I really do need to sharpen these. All right, now let's put on this sentiment. So it goes right here. And let's bring in that same sentiment that we used on the last card. And we will stamp this in Let's also stamp this one in Mossy Meadow. There we go. You can trim it down a little bit. You want to get it so it's the same on both sides. Okay. And we'll just put this up on dimensionals as well. There you go. A very quick card. All we need to do is put it on a card base. Here's a piece of pecan pie, perfect for our base. You know what? I think I'm going to put this up on dimensionals just because that'll make it a little bit more special as well. Let's get a whole new package out. I love getting into a new package. Now, because this is a little bit flimsier because it is designer series paper and not cardstock, best to use a few more dimensionals than you might otherwise. Let's take off these backs. And then I would just have to finish the inside of the card. Ooh, I did not score that one very well. Let's see. Let's try this again. That's better. And there we go. Sweet little card. And lastly, we're going to talk about what if you don't want a ribbon? What if you don't want a bow? Maybe you want something that's a little bit less feminine, or perhaps your ribbon is a little bit stiffer or thicker and you don't really like making bows with it. Well, then a knot is a really good alternative. But the problem with a knot is a lot of people just don't know how to tie them well. And the key is you need to tie them flat so that they don't give you a surcharge at the post office, because that can happen. I'm going to cut a base. Now let's do a hot dog base this time. Hot dog just means it's long and skinny like a hot dog. So we cut it lengthwise and then we score it in half at 4 1/4. And I'm going to take this piece of designer series paper, which is also from the same paper that we used on the last card. This is Beautiful Gallery. And I'm going to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm just showing you lots of really basic cards with a little ribbon treatment that you can get a bunch of cards done in no time. I'm just going to have to go back and add the insides to them. And I don't know what's upside down and what's not here. So we're just going to call this good. I need to adhere that. Now you can have your ribbon on the outside or you can have your ribbon on the inside, like go on the inside of the card. I personally don't mind it going on the inside of the card. If you don't like it seen on the inside of the card, then you can just wrap it around here too. That really is just a personal preference, and it might depend on what your card base color is and what your ribbon color is. My ribbon color happens to be Secret Sea, just like this card base. So I don't think it will be all that obvious on the inside. All right, so here is how we want to do this. Now, when you are dealing with a regular card front, you can pre-cut your ribbon to do a knot. And what you want to do is you want something that is 3 times the width of the card. So there's 3 times. I didn't have to measure with a ruler. I just put it across the front 3 times. Okay, again, if you don't want the ends to fray, just hit them real quickly. Literally very quick. All right. So then we just wrap this around. Now here is a little trick that I learned from someone who tied bows for a high-end greeting card company. Yes, they had people hand tie them and they were checked for quality. So you're going to bring your ends around. You're going to take your left end and put it over the right end. Bring it underneath. And now you're going to pull your ends so they go north and south. So up and down. You're going to put your index finger on the place where they tied. Take that end and pinch it between your thumb and your index finger. Now take the free end, wrap it over, and then through this little hole that's going to be right here in front of your right index finger. You grab the end. Grab the end. This is a stiff ribbon. And you're going to pull. Now I'm releasing that in half knot, but when I'm pulling a little bit more with my right hand side than with my left. And that's what's getting me that nice, really flat knot. And that is how you can hopefully avoid a surcharge. And look at your other ends. They're cooperating nicely. One's a little longer than the other. So we'll just trim that down. I'm not going to touch it anymore, so I don't really need to bother with the fire. And now if I want to adjust, I can slide this anywhere I want. I can put this in the middle, which I would never probably do. I can put it right on the side. That's how you tie a nice flat knot. Now we just need to make a card out of this. I think this calls for stylish shapes. One of my favorites. Okay, I brought in my circle. This is the 3rd smallest circle of the stitched shapes. And I die cut it, and I got this little circle right here. We will bring in, let's see what we have for sentiments from this beautiful motifs. I think we're going to use You've Been on My Mind. You've Been on My Mind. That's right here. Nope, that's always. This is. You know what? Let's just take these out of the paper. Then I'll have to keep looking through this. We'll do the rest later. Put this on a block. Let's get out our secret C to tie everything together. You've been on my mind. Perfect. Beautiful cards don't have to take a lot of time. Not when you're using beautiful designer series papers and ribbons and lovely sentiments. Let's see. I want this to go a little bit. You can fuss with those. Here we go. And we can add some bling Although I really like how this seems to be a very calm card. So I don't think I'm going to bling it up. Personal choice. Thank you for joining me, and Crash, of course, as we went over some of the basic techniques to applying linen thread and ribbon to your projects. I hope you found it useful and one that you will put into practice. Now, if you need any linen thread or ribbons or any wonderful Stampin' Up! Products, I would love to be your demonstrator if you don't already have one. You can find the link to my online store in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and ring that little notification bell, and that way YouTube will remind you every time I add new content. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you Thursday at noon for Lunchtime Look. I'm going to be creating a short little project that was inspired by this past Sunday's Scrappy Sunday project. Have a good rest of your week.